let's go through 7 simple techniques to help you read faster, finish on time, and answer more questions. Starting with your reading speed. Reading faster is of great help in this section, but one habit may be slowing you down. Luckily, it's easy to correct. Let me illustrate it with one simple exercise. I show you a sentence, and all you need is to read it. Could you read it fast? Well, no. I forced you to read each word one by one, giving the same attention to articles and prepositions as key terms. And this is very slow. Actually, your natural eye span is approximately 3.5 centimeters, which means you can read several words at a time. So let us try reading in chunks and see if it helps you read faster. Could you keep up? You read the second sentence about 30% faster than the first. Reading in chunks helps you process information more quickly. So the first tip is read phrases, not individual words. At school, we often learn to read in English in a very detailed way, writing down every unfamiliar word. And this is known as intensive reading, which is very thorough and very slow. So let me show you the problem it causes in IELTS reading. In this passage, I've highlighted all the parts you really need to study carefully to answer the questions. In some passages, there will be more highlighted parts, but sometimes whole paragraphs are not used directly. And if you read everything with the same speed, you spend a lot of time on parts that simply provide some background information. But then you're short of time when you get to one of the highlighted parts that really matter. So what you need to do is frequently switch between intensive reading, slow and deliberate, and extensive reading, which is like skimming a newspaper, moving through quickly to get the main idea without stopping for every detail. The thing is, you may not even be fully aware that you're reading intensively. One of the sure signs is if you hear words in your head or even whisper them with your lips. This is called subvocalization, and it limits your reading speed because you feel you must hear each word before moving on. One way to overcome this is to hum a simple tune, like while you read. Not during the exam, perhaps, but when you're learning to speed read at home. And I'm not saying not to use subvocalization at all. I find it really helps me concentrate on the meaning. So when you're trying to figure out if a certain statement is true or false, feel free to whisper each word, whatever you need to get it right. But in other situations, try to break the habit and stop pronouncing words in your head. Now, imagine you're reading an IELTS passage and you come across a sentence that doesn't quite make sense. You read it again, but it's still not clear. Then once more, and before you know it, you've spent precious time stuck on a single line which may not even matter. So unless you're certain the answer is hidden in that sentence, avoid rereading it. Try looking at surrounding sentences for context, because sometimes the bigger picture makes things clearer. And the key is to reread with purpose. Basically, when you believe the sentence contains the answer. I used to read in English a lot more slowly than in Russian, my first language, although I already knew all or almost all words, and I realized that I just settled into this comfortable pace. but you need to challenge yourself. Reading speed is like driving speed. If you start driving at 30 kilometers per hour and increase to 60, it feels fast. However, if you drive on the motorway at 120 for some time and reduce the speed to 60, it feels slow. And the same applies to reading. So try reading a book slightly faster than you find comfortable. And after a page or two, settle into the speed that is comfortable for you. Most likely now you're reading faster than you would be otherwise. So accelerate fast and then settle into comfortable pace. Reading in English for pleasure is a great way to improve. But if you're not used to reading scientific articles, like in IELTS Academic, or instructions and job descriptions, like in general training, they will feel hard. A simple exercise is to pick one article each day. You can read The Guardian or BBC News because they are free. For academic reading, use the science sections. For general training, any articles will do. So first, read the entire article extensively without stopping. Simply move through the text, try not to sub-vocalize or reread sentences. Work on your speed. Then, read it again intensively. Translate unfamiliar words and analyze challenging sentences. By doing this regularly, you will improve both your speed and your ability to handle difficult information. Now, when you're starting a new section in IELTS reading, should you read the entire passage first? You might have heard some conflicting advice on YouTube. Some say you should always read the entire passage to understand the picture. Others respond that it's a waste of time and you should go straight to the questions. The truth is, both methods have their pros and cons. If you read slowly, going through the whole passage first might take a lot of time and leave you feel overwhelmed. But if you're a fast reader, scanning it first will help you understand what's discussed and what questions are about. So there is no one-size-fits-all answer. The best way to find out is to try both during practice and see which helps you answer faster. There are, however, two strategies that I think work for everyone. So first, don't be tempted to start with more difficult questions. If you spend too much time on a difficult question, you risk running out of time for the easier ones, and each is worth 1 point. In IELTS reading, section 1 tends to be more straightforward, so try to finish it in about 15 minutes. Then spend about 20 minutes on section 2 and save about 25 minutes for section 3. This way you can secure easier points first and reserve enough time to tackle the more difficult questions and passages. But of course, the precise timing, again, depends on your level. The next marginal improvement will not only save you time, but also allow you to answer more questions. So the official IDP website lists 11 types of IELTS reading questions. And if you're not familiar with them and don't have a clear strategy for the most common types, you're losing valuable time and points. So learn the strategies for the main question types in IELTS reading. I have free videos with strategies and practice for each. And if you download my study plan, you can follow it easily. It's free too, and I'll link it below. It may sound like a lot to do, but still, passing IELTS reading is not exactly winning the Olympic Games. The British cycling team had to train for 5 years to implement all the marginal improvements. But then they went to Beijing and won 8 gold Olympic medals. And for the first time ever, they won the Tour de France, but not once, but in 6 out of the next 7 years. So keep on working on your reading skills and you'll pass your test. And if you want to achieve the best results, there are 2 groups of questions in IELTS reading you should learn about. You can do that in this video here, and this will save you a lot of time in your test. And thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!